Welcome to the Gemini Baby Podcast. Hi, hello. I'm your host, Divinity Jen. Thank you so much for joining me for the 63rd episode of my podcast. This is the place where we dive deeply into music, mysticism, pop culture, and so much more. We celebrate the duality of life and the cosmic chaos that comes with it. Hello, my friends. Today we have a very special guest on this week's episode of Gemini Baby. In fact, this is an artist I've been wanting to bring on the podcast for a very long time now. It was less of a if and a matter of when, and I'm so stoked that it finally came full circle. However, I do want to mention that this episode is very intense. It goes very deep. We are very authentic. And so if you are easily triggered, then I highly recommend you find another episode because we are really diving into some personal matters that may be triggering for some people. Additionally, shout out to our guests because they also tolerated the shenanigans, the chaos of a Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And the filming of this episode definitely reflects that transit. There is significant audio issues, less from our guests and more so with me, which is very suiting as a Gemini stellium. Of course, Mercury and Pisces was coming from my throat. So if it does sound a little bit roboty at times, if the audio goes in and out, please just bear with us. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your flexibility, especially of the guests, because they were so kind and so patient with me. Because not only did we film outside in public, so there was things going on around us, like I'd mentioned, there was significant audio issues. We went way over time. And so I'm so very grateful that our guest was so patient with me. And so I ask that you guys also show our guests this episode the same kind of kindness, because as I had mentioned earlier, this episode goes very deep, very fast. And despite the audio issues, this is one of my favorite episodes I've ever filmed at Gemini Baby. I think it's a great epitome of what Gemini Baby stands for. We're less of the chit chat and let's just hang and ask very basic questions. Like you guys, when I say we get deep, we get really deep. And so without further ado, let's jump into it.
Hi, my name is Isabella Osborne. I am a music artist based in Denver, Colorado. I would best describe my sound as singer-songwriter or indie. You may know me from my most well-known project, Ipecac, which was a rock band based in Denver. And, I've been in the music for 6 years. I'm also an author, not published yet. I like to write, and I also do video editing, makeup, all these different things. My parents started me off in music when I was 6 with playing guitar. I actually started with guitar. And then they didn't have guitar for an option for school in elementary school or middle school. So I joined choir and started singing that way. And around the same time, I also got into musical theater. And those kind of things pushed me in the direction of continuing in music. Freshman year of high school, I was doing a production of Spamalot at my high school theater company, with my high school theater company. And then my choir teacher also got an email basically asking about anyone who wanted to join rock band. And that's kind of how I got started into this whole thing.
And was that rock band?
That rock band was Ipecac.
Oh my goodness.
It was thus far been my first known band. And it just kind of came about in the most perfect way. I was sure that by the time I responded to that email that they had already found somebody. That spot had been filled because I was right in the middle of, approaching Tech Week for that production. So I was busy as all heck and I didn't respond right away. But when I did respond, we had to chatting, we did the audition, they called me back. And then I was the singer of Ipecac. And that was my life for 6 years.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy. We're going to dive a little bit more into that later in the episode. 6 years, you were in high school.
Yeah, it was my freshman year that I really kind of got into all of this. But again, I kind of had that history with theater and choir and guitar lessons. And actually, I would say gymnastics also helped me a lot. I was a gymnast for 13 years.
So fun.
Yeah, and I currently coach, actually. I coach men's and women's gymnastics and tumbling in preschool.
Oh my goodness.
So, I do all these things with gymnastics side of things, and I really think that gymnastics helped with my stage presence and also musical abilities because you have floor music, and you have to dance to floor music and be in rhythm with that. So I think that also added to how I got into music.
Very cool. Oh my goodness. I never knew you were like a gymnast.
I haven't been doing gymnastics for a few years now, but I could still do standing back tucks. I can still do back handsprings. I can still do my full split. I can, I have all these different skills that I can still do.
That's amazing. But diving a little bit more back into music, is there like any specific inspirations or artists that you're a massive fan of that has a similar sound?
A lot of different artists that I draw from. One of the biggest ones that I've mentioned on every single interview that I've done is 21 Pilots.
Oh, yes. I know that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you have never seen me be a fan of 21 Pilots, then you've never been on my page because it's everywhere. I'm a huge fan of that band. But growing up, I remember listening to the Beatles a lot. And I remember listening to Pink. And then in middle school, kind of Billie Eilish. There's just been a lot, even like Halsey. That was kind of like my middle school era was Halsey, Pink, and Billie Eilish. I kind of got into all of those. But I think, some more recent artists that I've taken inspiration from are the Top Sards. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I'm not too familiar. I have to look them up. Are they like rock and roll?
They're like indie rock, yeah.
Okay.
They're fabulous. They're chaotic. They're theatrical. I've had the great pleasure of meeting them a few times and having conversations and,
Very cool.
starting to try to work with them as well. And then Schaefer James. And I've also had the pleasure of meeting Schaefer James a couple of times. He's very nice from what I can tell. I haven't really worked with him at all. But I've had the pleasure of meeting him, and that's been fantastic.
Just some like behind the scenes shots. We are actually filming in a tunnel. I should have mentioned that earlier. I'm blaming Mercury retrograde in Pisces, but we are in this tunnel where Isabella actually sings her iconic tunnel a cappella songs in here. The very first video I saw of you singing in the tunnel was a 21 Pilots song.
Yes. And that's the one that went kind of viral of it. Just not terribly so, but 11,000 views. Like that's
amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of chaotic bikes in this area.
But please continue. Tell us more about your musical inspirations.
Recently, I saw Phantom of the Opera.
Oh,
at the
how
People.
was it?
It was fabulous. Musical theater's been a huge part of my life, as you can imagine, with the theater background. So I've recently kind of gotten back into it, which has been super cool. I mean, my vocal teacher, she has me practicing Queen of the Night for vocal practice. So I'm already kind of was heading that way. But, after seeing Phantom, definitely like revisiting all of the musical theater pieces and plays that I quite like and quite enjoy. So I've been drawing some inspiration from those as well, which has been fabulous.
I love that. That's awesome. I was a little bit of a theater kid growing up. I ended up going to school, I think, around like 7th or 8th grade, so I didn't pursue it as much. But it's just like that community is so amazing.
Absolutely. Theater is huge. And I really envy the theater people who have backgrounds in dance, even though I have a background in gymnastics, so this served me well in the things I have done theater-wise. I really do envy the folks who do ballet and who can tap and everything like that.
It's never too late to start.
It's never too late to start. And I've actually been looking into doing more theater-based productions and getting out there again and doing auditions again. Because, it's been a little while since I've done some auditions. I used to do them all the time and go out there and try to get into different productions. And I kind of stopped because COVID hit. And then I had a band to where I didn't need to audition for shows because there was always a show waiting. And I think that mix of my solo shows and whether that's with band or with tracks or with just myself, all the stuff with my project, having those shows combined with some other ones could really just elevate my performing abilities. And it could also be very, very fun to just get out there and do more stuff.
I'm excited to see a future Isabella show where she's dancing.
I mean, always. I mean, I love coming up with choreography for shows. It's one of my favorite things. I will never claim to be a professional choreographer, but I really do enjoy choreographing my own stuff and my own movements to my own songs, all that sort of thing.
It's so funny. I was going to say, like, every time I've seen you with Ipecac, you guys actually put on, like, a show. It's not like you guys are just playing instruments. You have multiple outfit changes.
Mhm.
You're dancing on stage. It was so fun.
Yeah, it always was really fun, and I plan to do the same. I already have done the same. What am I talking about? It's my solo project. On my last show, I had cloak that was covering my face, and I was, singing. I sung a whole song like that, and I had hats that I changed in and out of. So, even with a solo acoustic set where I'm stuck with a guitar and glued to the mic, I still like those elements of it and really want to integrate those specific moments and be intentional about the art that I'm putting out there.
For sure. I need to come see one of your solo shows. 'Cause again, like, I keep saying it, but like, I've been see, and I've been blown away every single time. It's like really imagining to about your own. It's really, because I do think that there is something very special about being like an indie artist and still putting on a show where it's not just, playing the guitar, but you're actually engaging. It makes it 10 times more, I think, entertaining to watch it like a listener, but also like, it's like building your brand on top. No, that's how I define it is. She's the only artist that I know who's doing multiple outfit changes in the local scene on
Yeah.
stage. Like,
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. It's fun, and I always look at what are people in my scene doing really well, and what are they not doing that I could try. That's the thing is I love going to concerts. I have a whole page. It's a secret account. It's not a secret by any means, but it's kind of the secret side of my artist life, and it has all the concerts that I like to go to, all of the bands that I'm a fan of, and on that page, I like to take video and I like to look at what are these performers specifically doing in their performance and what can I take from that. It's always a learning experience when I go to a show. I'm not going to critique every single local artist that I go see by any means. That's not my goal when I go to see a local show. But I do want to see, like, what are these bands up to? Because being so young, but also being in the scene for such a long time, I'm constantly looking for who's going to be the next band, who's going to be the next, Velveteers.
Do you have anyone you want to shout out right now?
So many. Are you kidding me?
Shout out all of them.
Congrats, Maybe Fern, on your release. That's awesome. Congrats, Capture This, on filming your music video. Congrats, Horizon, on releasing your song. It was a little while ago, but congrats on releasing Beg. That song is iconic. Company is awesome.
Love those guys.
MF Ruckus is crushing it. Gentleman Deluxe is crushing it. There's so many.
I'm going to have to look up a lot of these bands. I only know the Trujillo Company, and I actually met them the same year that I met you guys at Max, which is so crazy.
Left Out. Congrats. It was a little while ago as well, but congrats on your guys' release of your song. Who else do I have my eye on? A lot of people. There's so many. I can't mention you guys in one interview. I'm sorry if I left you out. I'm not trying to. There's so many of you guys. There's so many artists. Tiny Tomboy is another one that's coming into my brain. Low Central.
I gotta look up all of these guys.
They're great. Look up all the local bands that check, Westward has compiled the best of Westward recently. I've been digging through that as well. And there's even more artists that I've been discovering as of late.
That's amazing. I love how, like, you don't just, like, play in the scene, you actually become friends with people. And I've noticed that's been, like, a mixed bag from my personal experience with the local music scene, where I've met some local bands where, like, you just kind of show up and play the gig. But then there's other artists who are like, no, we're a part of, like, 5 different bands in the local scene. Right. Stuff like that.
Like, I think about Maybe Fern and Root Beer. They did a little tour last year together, and you could just tell that they were best friends. Like, they became best friends on this little tour that they did, or these few shows that they did. And it's kind of the same thing that what you're saying is that there's folks like that, and that's really what I am doing in the music scene is, I want to support the baby bands. I want to get out there and support the bands that are just starting out, regardless of how old the people in the band are. I mean, so long as they're good people and they're doing the right things as much as they can and everything else, I don't see a reason why not to.
I totally agree with that. I think with me kind of coming from like a more of a mainstream music industry background, I've been really falling in love with the local music scene more than ever. But these last 3 years in particular, I'm really integrated in it. And I'm just kind of in the mindset of like, there's so much incredible talent that is undiscovered. And sometimes, I think a lot of my peers, shout out to all of my LA friends and New York friends, they get lost in the who's on Spotify global charts, who's trending on TikTok. And it's like, y'all are taking away the joy of this job and getting focused in numbers and analytics when, the next Mariah Carey is maybe busking in downtown Denver or sitting at the coffee shop, but we'll never know of these people because they get so, again, caught up in the numbers where it's like, it's not about that anymore. You're taking
No.
it's like so inhumane at that point.
And it just kind of becomes like you're limited as an artist to your members. And, like, an interesting starting the solo project is it almost feels like I'm starting over in a lot of ways. And it's been really hard to actually be DIY and do the thing. Because, before I was working with Evergroove Studios, with Ipecac, shout out to Brad and Athena. You guys are incredible. But I was recording with Evergroove Studios and they're Grammy nominated. They've done work with so many amazing artists. And now I'm kind of recording with my bandmate in his basement and I'm trying to like figure out how to do the thing. And it's just been so bizarre trying to do it. And I'm like, this is how artists do this in the different music. This is how indie artists do it. And then I realized, what do you mean this is how indie artists? You are the indie artist.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been the indie artist this entire time. What do you want now? Like, it's so weird to think about it. I'm in a weird spot.
I think, though, there's something beautiful about being in that spot because, like, that's your own story as a solo artist. Just think about in 6 years, you're going to look back and be like, I was recording in my phone's basement and we were doing this, and now 6 years later, I've had to learn with starting with my podcast, and you saw me like struggling for like 20 minutes, being like, what's going on with the audio? And sometimes I have to reflect and remind myself, like, this is just the story of where we're at. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think it's important for artists to recognize places where they struggle and then to also take time to reflect on where they've been and how far they've come and things like that. And that's something that I've struggled with a little bit, admittedly, even though, I've had all this incredible experiences as a musician. There's definitely days. There's a lot of after shows previously. There's been a lot of post-show depression where it's just like, I get this sense of like, why am I even doing this? Like, and all these feelings, these down feelings where I just feel so down and sad. It's because like I'm coming off of this natural high of playing shows. So it's so important to lift each other up and to lift yourself up.
What is that like experience like for you?
Recently, I've had less of it, which has been interesting. I think that previously it's been a lot of coalition before the show. It's been a lot of, okay, we're going to lay out these coping mechanisms. We're going to, make sure this is set up correctly. Just taking care of myself mentally and physically is essentially how I've accomplished, pulling myself out of that rut, because the better that you feel because you've taken care of your physical needs, the better you're going to feel with your emotional needs.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of been the plan. That's kind of been the play mode. It's really weird when those feelings go out without a show. And just on random days, there'll be days where I feel like I'm at the top of the world and I'm, at that goal. And then there's other days where I'm just like, I'm so frustrated because of how things have gone and how they all go. So,
but you're still that girl.
I'm still that girl. It's just, we're feeling a bit more of the feels.
Yeah.
And that's, it's rough, especially when you're emotional little artist.
I've been asked you, what's your zodiac sign?
I'm Sagittarius.
Hey, I'm a Gemini. We're sister signs.
Yes. Oh my God.
I love that. I was just going to say, girl, give it to the end of the month. Things are going to shift. We have Uranus, planet of chaos, rebellion, sun, and royalty entering Gemini, and it activates that Gemini and Sagittarius. And that's there for 7 years. And so it's like sudden light bulb moments. So end of April, I believe it's April 25th or the 26th. Things are about to shift.
They're about to change. Everything will change.
Yes. But we talked a little bit about Ipecac earlier. Was everyone already originally part of the band?
So the only original member was Rodney. And she was kind of the one who reached out to all these different high schools. And that's how they found me. Tate and Canyon, they knew each other from Global Sound Studio. Global Sound Band. They had been in that band together. And then Rodney and Tate had been in a few ministry bands. So it's kind of like they had that connection. Rodney and Tate had that connection. And then when they needed a new drummer and singer, that's when Tate brought in Kenya. And then Rodney brought in bass, pretty much. Is how that went. And, it was kind of nice because I joined the band and then COVID happened. But it was kind of perfect because I wasn't able to do theater anymore, but I was still able to do Ipecac and stuff. And what was also nice about it was that we had time to become friends because they were going to throw me into a show like 2 weeks after I joined. It was like hit the ground running type of thing. So that show got canceled because of COVID. So we had more time to become better and to do all the stuff and things. And there was a band, there were iterations before me. I can't speak to those. I can't speak to the dynamics of that and things of that nature. But, there were other band members. There's been multiple kind of iterations. But I think that the most recent iterations have been some of the most successful. Sometimes it doesn't feel like I'm bringing the band, or at least that I was. But when I was in it, like it didn't really feel real as time phrasing.
So did you feel like that like instant chemistry, instant vibe, like this would be something serious matter?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started doing makeup on my face because I anticipated at 15 years old, because I was 15 when I joined,
Wow.
that, this was going to go places. And I didn't want people to recognize me all the time. I wanted to separate the work life and the music life from my normal everyday life and my private life. So I started wearing makeup as a means to disguise myself essentially. And I think that worked pretty well because when I've gone to indie meetups, like with Indie 102.3, and I've gone to local events, sometimes people don't recognize me if I'm not wearing the makeup or makeup like this or makeup of how I did it when I was in Ipecac. It's been a really interesting thing.
And so, I do want to address the elephant in the room because we're kind of circling around it. But I wanted to give everyone, especially for those of you who do not know Isabella, proper context. We met through Ipecac, and as of the last couple of weeks, you guys have officially announced that the band has broken up. Are you open to sharing more about what happened? What was the reasoning?
Yeah, I am. I mean, let's be real, that is a huge elephant in the room. I know people on Reddit have been speculating why the band broke up, actually.
Wow, really?
There's been people online who have been speculating. I see you guys. I see you on there. And, my answer to that is that it was communication breakdown. I really, that's the simplest and best way that I can describe it. It's a really kind of complex thing, right? It was a complex situation. When Tate and Canyon and I announced, that we were no longer part of Ipecac, we said that it was for various reasons. There were various reasons. It truly was that there were various reasons. That wasn't implying something or another. But yeah, overall, I think it was just like a communication breakdown. And it's been really weird seeing folks speculating online and looking at old videos and things like that because I always gone onto YouTube and I've always looked at what are people posting about me and the projects I've been a part of and things like that. It's been really weird to look back on those old videos, um, especially now. But yeah, it was just kind of a breakdown communication. That's the best answer I can give right now. There's parts of it that I I don't know when I'll be ready to talk about it. Just truly, it was kind of a crazy thing.
That's fair. I think as a fan of Ipecac and just as a music fan in general, it always breaks my heart hearing about some of my favorite bands breaking up. And I'm not going to say who the band was, but there's another band in the local music scene that just announced in the last couple of days that they're
I know who it is.
yeah, and that also took me off guard because I met all of you guys at the same time,
Mhm.
and I actually haven't shared this with you. I was planning to do a showcase this summer, and I wanted to ask you, that other band, to be on the lineup.
Yeah,
Kind of feels like divine intervention because I'm like, what are
yeah.
the odds that this is all happening. And I don't know if you're a fan of the Cat's Eye Girls, but
Yeah.
they just lost a member too.
Yeah.
And it's really heartbreaking because, sometimes we establish these parasocial connections as a fan with these artists and we see ourselves in them through their music, but also just how they show up personality wise. And so when I found that out, I was like, oh my goodness, like I never would have guessed.
No, yeah, it was really sudden, and I think a lot of fans of Ipecac weren't expecting. There were some people who were, I think, they got in some spidey senses on it, but overall, I think a lot of Ipecac fans did not see that coming, especially since the band, when we just released another EP,
Hmm.
it was honestly a little bit sudden for me as well. I saw it coming, but I was hoping that it wouldn't have ended up the way it did, basically.
And so there's likely no getting back together, no taking time off, seeing how things go after some time.
For me, no. I'm done. I'm I mean, you I hold the songs very near and dear to my heart, and I hold what we did together very close to my heart. But honestly, like, I don't see myself returning to Ipecac. I really don't. For a few different reasons, of course, but I do plan on playing the different songs actually live. I do plan on playing some of the Ipecac songs live through my solo project and continuing to perform those songs. But yeah, in terms of getting back together, yeah, I don't see it happening. Which is so heartbreaking to say out loud. Um, but yeah, I'm done.
That's
So
fair. But I do appreciate you guys being transparent, not just here, but also online with your fans. A band that I think about who broke up, but like never announced anything was Catfish and the Bottlemen. It's like a diehard fan of those guys since
that's fair.
like 2013, 2014 when they were having a come up together for a decade. 3 out of the 4 original members leave the band, lead singer is still going, never announced anything. And it's just like, that's the elephant in the room for
That is a
them.
huge, yeah, that's massive. And that's what, Tate and Cammy and I, what we really wanted to avoid because it was like, the band technically broke up in January and we didn't announce it until March that we were no longer a part of Ipecac, that we were no longer doing that.
Mhm.
And so I really was like that 2 months where I didn't say anything. It really felt like I was just living a big fat lie. And I was like, we have so many people in Denver that have supported us and cared about us and, have looked at the band and really said, like, there's something there. We have fans. They deserve to know that this is going on. They deserve to know that I'm no longer in the band, that Cannon's no longer in the band, and Tate's no longer in the band. Like, they deserve to know that. And so those 2 months, it was like I was getting comments online, people asking like, "Oh, what's going on with Ipecac? What's going on? What's happening? Are you guys like doing stuff? Like, do you have shows coming up?" And I just like left it blank because I was still processing it. And quite frankly, I'm still processing it now that we're in April. Like, it's been a lot. And I really just wanted to bring that to the fans and get that out of the way because I was like, these people, like, they deserve to know. Westward deserves to know since they've supported us so much. Like, anyone 2.3 deserves to know. All these different magazines and organizations, and even you, like, fans like you guys deserve to know. So that was really something that was incredibly important to the three of us.
And something that we talked about off camera, just to shift the topic a little bit, is this isn't the only thing that you're navigating right now.
No.
there is a lot of other personal stuff happening in your life. And if you're comfortable sharing it, I would love to dive more into that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's weird to say out loud. It's so weird to say out loud. Um, and what's worse is that, there's a lot of people who don't know this, even who have been in my inner circle previously and who are in my inner circle. Um, I have cancer. I have metastatic papillary thyroid cancer. And what that means is that I have cancer in my thyroid, which is a bow tie shaped gland in my neck, and it's metastasized to my lymph nodes. And I found out after Ipecac had broken up. It was 3 days after the band broke up.
Oh my goodness.
I knew during Ipecac's last show that I might have cancer, and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell any of my bandmates. I want to make it clear that it has nothing to do with Ipecac's breakup.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I found out it was confirmed in March that I do in fact have cancer. It was like confirmed that this is the exact diagnosis.
Mhm.
Because for a little while we weren't sure if I had cancer. It was like they did molecular testing and it showed that I had a 50% chance of cancer, which is still very high,
Yeah.
but it wasn't confirmed. But yeah, to be 21 and to, you know, have cancer, it's really, really weird. I thank God and just, whatever feelings you believe in, right? Like,
Mhm.
I thank God that it's treatable
Mhm.
and that it's survivable. But it's been hard, especially given the fact that I could have nerve damage from surgery
Mhm.
and that I might, if my laryngeal nerve, which sits right behind my thyroid, if that's damaged during surgery, then I might not ever sing the same again.
Wow.
Um, so to find that out 3 days after your band of 6 years breaks up, it's a lot. And and I do want to share it publicly because, you know, it's the first most common type of cancer for actually our age group, 15 to 29. According to my surgeon, it's the most common type of cancer, fourth most common for women ages 15 to 29. And it's like primarily it's mostly asymptomatic. And so I do want to talk about it publicly. I do want to talk about it online because medical malpractice and chronic illness and women's health, these are all topics that I've engaged with before and
Mhm.
advocated about for more education and more recognition of this. So when it comes to my cancer, I made the decision to talk about it publicly, even if it is hard to say, and it's a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. But
Yeah,
first and foremost, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I feel like there's never anything right to say when someone is in this situation
yeah,
with you being so young. And it breaks my heart hearing that
yeah,
because not only just as a fan, but just as like a person, a human, like no one deserves to go through that. And the fact that you are so young, it is impacting one of the most important parts of who you are, your throat, your voice.
yeah.
That's massive.
It's huge. And what's crazy is I haven't even really talked about it online. I haven't really put it out there, right? But already I've had a lot of nasty things said to me about it.
Really?
Yeah. Folks have already said nasty things about it who I've shared it with. And, you know, it's tricky because I also have family members who are going through stuff right now as well. I wrote a song last year called Save Me and put it out as a little demo. And part of that song is tied to my faith as a United Methodist Christian human. But then the other part of it is my dad had heart failure and AFib last year and kidney cancer.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like, it's this weird situation to be in where it's like you're 21 and you have cancer, and then your 50-year-old dad also had cancer as well. Like,
It's a
it's
lot.
really, really weird. It is a lot. So,
Can I give you a hug?
yes,
I'm
please do.
Something else that I want to say is I just think you are so incredibly resilient and amazing.
Thank
And
you.
the fact that you're willing to share this online, not only just, to talk about yourself, but to raise awareness around this thing is so powerful and speaks to really the impact that you have, not just in music, but also in terms of like real things that people are going through. Because some people would shy away from this.
Yeah, I have not seen a lot of representation of young people with papillary thyroid cancer or any type of thyroid cancer for that matter. Again, it is treatable. It is something that, I'm going to survive it, but at the same time, it does have a huge impact on your life.
Yeah.
And I remember reading a story recently on like threads or something. I can't remember, but this woman, she went to a like convention for support around cancer. Her husband had had thyroid cancer, and she told the people in this convention that her husband had had thyroid cancer, and they were just kind of like, "Oh, thyroid cancer, like that's not a big type of cancer. That's like not a big deal." But this guy's thyroid cancer had been so severe that they had had to do incisions ear to ear to get to remove the cancer. Some of the, nodules and the stuff that they removed were just massive. And he had all these like issues and things of that nature. And so it is a big deal. And one of the things that I want to throw out there for people is that nobody should be comparing people's cancers.
Hmm.
It happens a lot more than people think, where folks will compare, thyroid cancer to other types of cancers, other more serious types of cancers,
Hmm.
or they'll compare breast cancer to other types of cancers. They'll be like, "Oh, well, breast cancer, it's well researched and it's well defined and it's treatable and it's curable, or not curable, but it's treatable and you're going to survive it. So, like, why are you making a big deal about it?" But that's not an
Yeah.
appropriate thing to say to, number one, an appropriate thing to say to people with cancer. And number two, that doesn't diminish how difficult the cancer is.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of one of the things that I want to throw out there for folks is, you know, we need to look into these cancers further. We need to continue research in women's health. Um, just because they're mild types of cancer, just because we have treatments, doesn't mean those treatments can't be improved upon,
Yeah.
and doesn't mean that there shouldn't be support for people who are going through that.
I mean, it makes me think of people who compare trauma where it's like, I had it worse than you, like, suck it up. And it's like, that's not helping anyone.
That's not.
Like, we're all human beings. We all go through shit, but like, we need to be there to support one another because by not, you're just making things 10 times harder for the individual.
It's been really, really weird with how it ties to my music career as well, which is probably one of the reasons why I initially what do I mean? Probably. It is one of the reasons initially why I decided early on that, yes, I am going to throw this out there to the public. One of the reasons why I decided very early on that I do eventually want to put this out publicly is because of the way that people compare cancers, the lack of awareness around thyroid cancer, and the demographics that it affects. Again, as I mentioned before, it does really hold to the values and the things that I've engaged with previously. But, I've never seen any sort of media or any sort of stuff talking about thyroid cancer. It's only been recently that I've really come across that stuff because I have it.
Right.
But even then, I see a lot more older people being affected by thyroid cancer, which statistically speaking, that is how it goes. But, it is on the rise for younger people. And I think it's important that we put it out there and talk about it.
Again, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. We here at Gemini Baby do not take this lightly. Me as just a human, non-Gemini Baby,
No, yeah.
this is life changing.
But absolutely, yeah.
It's massive, and I did want to ask you, like, what is the treatment process looking like for you? Have you begun treatment? What are the next steps?
So the next steps for me is I need surgery. I need a lymph dissection and a total thyroidectomy, which essentially means that they're gonna, cut me open on my neck and take out the cancer. In terms of how big that incision is, I don't know the exact measurements, but I know it'll be like from here to here across, it'll be decently significant. And then I might have to undergo like radioactive iodine stuff, like some radioactive stuff, to kill off any residual cancer if there is any.
Oh my goodness.
For thyroid cancer, a lot of the times, you know, chemotherapy, it doesn't really work for thyroid cancer, like it's not really the first treatment option,
Okay.
which is interesting. But what's hard about surgery is that for my voice, there's a 1% chance that I get nerve damage, right? But in terms of how long it takes my voice to recover after surgery, nobody can really tell me.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Like, is this like treatment surgery? Is this like 1 year recovery time? Is this 6 months?
At this time, we don't really know. And that's also been the hardest part is all these unknowns throughout the entire process. When I got the ultrasound results back in December of last year, that's when I first started on this whole journey, actually, as I've known for a while that there's been stuff going on and whatever else. But when I first got the ultrasound results back in December, it was like, yeah, this nodule that we found in your lymph nodes, they're all abnormal and they're suspicious, but it might not be cancer. And then I got a biopsy literally like December 31st, like New Year's Eve.
Oh my goodness.
And and we got those results back again 3 days after Ipecac broke up. Um, and in January, and it was like, you might have cancer. We don't know. And then we got the molecular testing results back, and it's like, you have a 50% chance of cancer. So you might have cancer. We don't know.
Oh my goodness.
And, so now it's like this thing of like, you have cancer, but we don't know how long it'll take your voice to recover necessarily because it depends on the person. Like, there's been so many unknowns throughout this whole process. And again, I thank God that it's treatable and everything else, but that doesn't diminish the feelings of this fear of the unknown and these fears around, what's happening to me.
Mhm.
Because I don't feel sick. That's probably one of the other weirdest parts is thyroid cancer is very asymptomatic in a lot of ways. And I don't feel sick. I don't look sick. Maybe I do a little bit because the stress and stuff, but I don't feel sick. I don't look sick. I don't see myself as sick.
I can only imagine like what that's like to go from band of 6 years, breakup, cancer, but then also it just opens a can of worms of what comes next. Like, I have to be direct, but how are you holding up? Are you doing okay?
I've been very thankful that and grateful that I have a support network within, my inner circle. And then also expand them into the demo music scene, the people who have known about this, because I have told some people in the demo music scene about this. They've been incredible. They've been so supportive, you know, and it's been it's been rough. I When I first found out about the ultrasound results, I was coming back from shooting the music video for my song Save Me, which I mentioned before.
Mhm.
And, I was still in makeup. So I made a little video just basically being like, if I have cancer, then guess what? You guys are getting a second album. you know, like it's it's gonna be a rough road.
Mhm.
Um, but it's you do all you can basically is how I'll put it. Like it's not been easy. I won't lie. It's not because how can it? The fact that it's treatable and stuff like that doesn't make it any better in my mind. I mean, it does in some regards, but not really. It's been tricky, and lots of songs have been written because of what I'm going through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just been I don't know what else to say about it. Like I at this point, I pretty much canceled my album. At this point, I've pretty much like acknowledged the fact that I'm probably not going to be able to open for a bunch of headliners throughout this year, and I'm probably going to have to showcase more of my cancer journey online than my music. Um, like this is the time where I'm recording a bunch of stuff,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna put it out, and then I'm not gonna necessarily be able to do shows to promote it.
Mhm.
Like there's a chance that I won't be able to. Um, and that's been very hard because of how I wanted this solo project to go, how I wanted my music career to go. But I think that this is like the best way that I could have gone. Like looking at it from a third person perspective, God is cooking with this plot line.
Yeah.
Like, wow, the drama. Um, he's looking like if this was a TV show, I'd be invested. I'd be eating
Yeah.
my popcorn and I'd be sobbing and throwing up and crying and so happy and like being like invested, like, oh my gosh, she did this. What's gonna happen next in the next episode? But living in it has been not great. So it's it's a weird sort of thing to look at. And it has been rough.
Just to reiterate, again, thank you for sharing all of this with us. You are just going through so much, and the fact that you made time today to come talk to us about what you're going through and really providing insight, raw insight at that, about this
Yeah.
journey. Um, I'm still in awe with you. I'm still a massive fan of you, and I'm such a big believer of what you're going to do after everything, but also like throughout like the treatment, throughout the process. You already told me about posting this online, and I'm like, girl, the fan's not going anyway.
No,
Not going
you guys better
anywhere.
not go anywhere. No, I want it to show people what this whole process looks like. No, I want to show people what this whole process looks like. I want to show people what it's like being 21 years old and have thyroid cancer, and what it's like having that grapple with my music career and things like that. And it's been weird to think about, but if music is no longer the thing, like if stuff goes wrong and music is not the thing anymore, I know there's always going to be people there to support me. I know that I'm always going to find a creative outlet because I am a creative person. That is just what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And I know that true fans of my stuff and my music and my journey and everything that I'm going through, they are going to support me no matter what. And how crazy is that? How bizarre is that? What other 21-year-old could say that? What other, like, Isabella Osborne can say, wow, my fans are there for me. And Isabella Osborne's fans are always going to listen to her music and they're always going to be there. like, who else can say that? That's incredible. That's insane. And I'm so grateful to just you and all my other fans just out there who I know will support me through this and who will be attentive. And I've been thinking in the back of my head, oh no, all this cancer content gonna get so annoying.
No.
But it's really not.
And who fucking cares if people get annoyed?
Who cares? They
Like,
can unfollow.
yeah.
But I prefer if they stuck around and kept leaving hate comments instead. That'd be a lot more better for the algorithm, you know?
Seriously.
Right? So, but no, I think it'll be interesting to see how folks react going forward and kind of where this all takes me. But I think the big guys looking out for me no matter what, you know?
100% agree. Well, something that we just started doing new here at Gemini Baby is at the end of every episode, we do want to pull some tarot and oracle cards for our guest. Are you open to that?
Yes. I love tarot cards.
And which step out of these two speaks to you the most right now?
We gotta do the energy thing.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
I
that'll do
love
the
it.
thing.
I love that.
I know how you energy work people are, how you witchy folks are. I know how y'all are. I'm with it.
Love it. I feel like Sag Queen.
I'm I'll make a joke. I'm that woke, you know. Like I'm with it. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. We'll try it. Oh my gosh. Come on. Oh, weird. It's this one. Which I like the decorations on this one more because it's pretty. I don't know if anyone can see that, but I like this one more. But this is one that has the energy to it. So let's do that one.
That's so crazy because these oracle cards, they were the first ones I grabbed for you. I saw that and I was like, I'm getting Isabella vibes from this. And then you pick it.
That's so funny.
I
No,
love it.
because that's so funny.
And this is a Wisdom of the House of Night by PC Cass and Colette Barron Reed.
It's very cool because my grandmother is a witch. And so I've grown up with this understanding of like, you know, kind of the witchy energy work side of things, but then also she's a Catholic as well. And a lot of my family's Catholic. So it's like really cool how it can work symbiotically.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Interesting how all that works. Like it comes full circle.
It's
I didn't know about that until you told me today, and I was like, wait, universe is universing. Okay. I'm gonna pull 3 cards for you, and then I'm gonna interpret them, and you let me know how they resonate. Because I'm gonna ask you a question based off of them.
You got it.
Okay. Okay, and then you tell me to stop with this last one.
And stop.
So this is your main card, obedience.
Obedience.
I'll show everyone. I don't know if you guys can see it. Obedience is your main card. Then you have High Priestess of Earth.
I should.
Freaking out about her makeup.
Her makeup on this card is so iconic. I think we need to get close-up shots of these
Yeah.
cards. I won't lie.
And then Belonging, House of Night, which is
Oh,
the name of this.
the name of the duck too. Wow, look my special what?
Yeah. Okay. So right off of that, I feel like the universe is very much talking about this is the time to do what you have to do. Like, you know, we have been having a long conversation about these massive life changes. And when I look at this obedience card, it's a woman. She's standing on a block. She's blindfolded. She has the scales in one hand and a knife in the other. Intuitively, I feel like this is talking about how you may feel like you're not, you know, like you lack clarity, like what's going to happen next? Where am I going? But the universe is almost coming in and being like, hey, the scales are going to balance. You might feel like you're operating on one extreme where things are really extreme right now, but you are going to come and find that balance, even if you don't see it right now. The knife, the sword in her, not knife, the sword in her hand is more or less about saying you have all the tools and the resources that you need to navigate this this uncertainty, these extremes that you're going through. And then, you know, the word obedience, it's very direct. It's again about really having to, you know, be accountable for the work that needs to be done and make sure that you're staying on the right path. Because when I look at this circle around her and there's like a little circle on the ledge, this just makes me think of almost like a universal portal, where it's behind you, and you're kind of going through this portal, but once you're able to take the blindfold and see and remove it from yourself, because she could put the scales down and the sword down and just remove the blindfold herself, but she's not at this time. And that's more like the divine intervention, where it's like once you navigate all of these, I guess for lack of better words, like these I guess complexities, these balls of life, you'll see that you're exactly where you're meant to be. Shifting the high priestess of earth, when I saw her, I actually was like, "Oh my god, her makeup, it reminded me of yours." And this also talks about, when I think of earth energy, I think about grounding. For one, we're on the ground. We're outside in nature. Yeah, we're here. And I think this just kind of reiterates the same message in the obedience card, that you have all the resources and tools that you need. And if you ever feel like you do not, just know they are available to you. It's a matter of, again, the obedience, kind of seeking out the resources. Yeah, that they are there. The high priestess stuff also makes me think that I really don't think this is the end of your creative journey. I know we talk about music, but she's like decked out in all kinds of like tattoos, different art. It looks like she has like some flowers, like a flower bush crown. I don't even know. Like,
And it almost looks like there's some little butterfly patterns.
yeah.
And there's also little circles in there too.
That just makes me think about all your creative energy. Like you had mentioned it's not just music. You're into so many different things. And I think the universe is like pursue those things. Like that creative energy is so I think integrated into who you are as a person, that it really is about just like, honoring yourself and knowing that those creative gifts, those skills will always be available to you because they are part of who you are.
Yeah.
The Fee Belonging House of Night cards, first and foremost, that's the name of the deck. And I think this has 50 cards in it. And for you to get the main card, again, I think this just speaks about you, one, being like very divinely protected. And I see that because of the houses. Like that makes me, in the belonging, like you have a support system. I think not only here, but if you do believe in like spirits or like the afterlife, like you do have people with you supporting you. Um, and also, this makes me think about your creativity, because I see her looking into the house, being like, are people going to support me? Am I going to be able to like navigate this? Like, what is this next phase of my life look like? 'Cause she's almost gazing into the windows of the car. And I just feel like this is really talking about that you are going to find the community. And I don't think it's just like family and friends, like the fan base.
Yeah, I
You
think so
know?
too.
You are gonna find that fan base for your creative endeavors. And I feel like with the colorfulness of the sky in the background, it's speaking that into, while things may feel a little bit dark and dimmed because of the houses are in the dark, they're basically black in this picture, there is that reassurance that there's light at the end of the tunnel. What are those lights at the end of the tunnel?
We're in the tunnel.
Behind us. Yeah. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And I think the main message of your reading is to trust in the divine plan,
Yeah.
honor your creative ambitions, nurture yourself, and know that you are supported here and spiritually.
And throughout uh everything, it's been this, again, I think, and this is slightly not terribly controversial, but I think that Ipecac's breakup came at the best time it could, you know? Like, the way that the band started was very natural, and I think the end was unnatural, but it came at the right time.
Right.
And with, what's going on with me health-wise, that's a whole can of worms, but it's, you know, this whole process since I, started on that, even before this, I mean, the way that I discovered I discovered my cancer, which is interesting. There wasn't any symptoms.
Hmm.
There was no reason for us to discover it, but I had a feeling that I should get an ultrasound. And I asked my doctor about it, and she was like, "You don't need one." and then I went to a different doctor and got one anyway.
Mm,
So throughout this whole process, there has been kind of a divine presence and a divine plan.
yeah.
And with my music in general, I mean, I've talked about God in my music, and regardless of what anybody believes, I never want to force my religion on people, but I think that there is something to that. You know, when multiple different cultures and, you know, groups of people say that there's some sort of divine presence in life,
Mhm.
kind of points to know that there's something going on there, you know?
Hard to deny.
It's a little hard to, and you know, even if you don't think that it's a divine presence, like there's like a big guy in the sky who determines everything, or there's a bunch of spirits inside of trees and stuff,
Mhm.
like regardless of what you believe, there's something so powerful about human intuition that almost feels divine.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that I attribute to God, but that other people, you know, might just attribute to themselves if you wanted to look at it from a more individual perspective. But there's definitely divine presence going on right now in our world and
I
with
believe.
all this.
Let me pull you some slightly unhinged affirmation cards. Okay. You tell me when to stop.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. And stop.
Ooh, oh my God. And this is the only one flipped over. That's spooky.
No.
Okay.
God,
Ready?
it's invention.
I am the definition of winging it with style. There you go.
No, because 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 because
Is that correct?
no, a lot of what I do is very improvised, and when it comes to my music, it's kind of this changing plan where I'm like, okay, when I set out to do the album, I was like, we're gonna put out an album and we're gonna put a rush on it, or we're just gonna see what happens. If I have to push the deadline back to this day or this day, then we're gonna do it. Of course, now the album's canceled, but even still illustrates my point perfectly of like, we are out here trying our best and acknowledging the fact that, you know, I am winging it a lot.
You're doing the damn thing.
I'm doing the thing, but I'm not planning on how I'm doing the thing. And you know what? You guys seem to like it. Some y'all seem to like me, so that's nice. That's so creepy.
I mean, the universe is with us right now in the tunnel. No, we're halfway in the tunnel. We're not completely in it, as I'm sure you guys can tell.
Yeah.
I love that. But thank you so much for today's conversation, Isabella. I had such a great time getting to know you better, learning more about your story.
Yeah.
And again, just you sharing everything that's been going on. You do not take it lightly.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you've given me an opportunity to kind of address some of the things that, you know, that have been going on. Some elephants in the rooms. Massive elephant. This is a massive chapter of my life that I'm grateful that you're a part of, and that all the folks watching are a part of, all the fans watching are a part of. It's been really insane these past few months, but I think that between this little reading we got going on here today and just what I've known this entire time, it's going to be just a wonderful, wonderful thing in the end. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. There is things to look forward to.
100% believe it. Something when you were talking, something I didn't realize when I was first interviewing your card is I was looking at your green eyeshadow and I was like, wait, High Priestess of Earth. And I was talking about your makeup and then the green eyeshadow, nurture yourself. This is such a time about taking care of you.
I think it's also a sign to write more songs about bugs. If you guys haven't checked out my latest single, Bug Song, you can check it out on all major streaming platforms. By the way,
Bug song. And Isabella was just, there was a roly poly, and so she picked it up and was.
there's a roly poly, and roly polies actually aren't bugs.
They're not. What are they?
They are in the same family as certain crustaceans and stuff.
Wait, I don't even know what that is.
So, like, okay, there's like roly poly looking things at the bottom of the ocean.
Okay.
They're related to those things.
So they're like water animals?
They're not. I mean, roly-polies themselves are obviously land animals, but they're not bugs.
Huh.
They're not spiders. They're not arachnids. They're not insects. They're not a part of those same families. They're evolved from a different, like, genus and stuff.
That's so interesting. I was definitely one of those kids who'd play with the roly-polies in the yard when I was younger.
Me too.
Making a little home with them.
Right? So, we're great.
Something that we do at the end of every Gemini Baby episode is recommend 3 songs to our listeners. What 3 songs would you like to recommend today?
Can it be any songs?
Any songs, can be yours, can be other artists, can be from 50 years ago, last week, doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. Okay, we gotta think about this. We gotta think about this for a second here. Phantom of the Opera. From Phantom of the Opera. It's so iconic. Bug Song by Isabella Osborne. That's by me.
We love it.
It's good. It's out there for you all to enjoy.
It's the roly-poly.
Where are you?
Sign.
Where are you? No, they're all taking a nap before they come out this evening.
We are getting all of the last noise before this episode ends.
Right. Seriously.
We want another electric bike. Just kidding.
Right? And then last song I'll recommend is by Housekeeper by Schaefer James and Intentions by 21 Pilots.
Hey, I love that. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to listen to Schaefer James. I know we talked about him in the beginning too. So
he's a massive inspiration of mine right now.
I love that.
Huge inspiration of mine right now.
That's awesome. And a massive shout out to Isabella. Thank you so much for coming on this week's episode of Gemini Baby. I'm just so deeply grateful that she came on the show, that she took the time out of her day to really share her story with us. We got very deep, very quickly. And given everything that Isabella is going through, I do not take it lightly. It truly means the world. I'm always going to be rooting for her. Truly always rooting for the members of Ipecac. As I've mentioned, I've been a fan of them pretty much since I started this podcast, since early 2023 when I met them at Foco MX for the first time. And it's so full circle to have Isabella come on the show. And so, it was, it came on in a way that I don't think either of us would anticipate. However, we still made it happen. And I'm just so grateful again that she shared her story with us. So thank you, Isabella. So much love. And I'm so excited to see this next part of her journey. You guys already know that we do music recommendations at the end of every single Gemini Baby episode. Isabella already gave her recommendations. However, I wanted to follow up with some recommendations on my own. And so the first song I would like to recommend today is Save Me, the Demo by Isabella Osborne. We briefly talked about it in the episode. However, I remember hearing this song for the first time. She had posted a snippet on TikTok. I believe she was in the church recording some promo for it. And just like the visuals and her vocals being so raw, I was like, oh my goodness, I am loving this. And so that is my personal favorite Isabella song out right now, though I'm very excited to see what she has up her sleeve. The second song I'd like to recommend is Navigating by 21 Pilots. I'll be honest, I'm not like the biggest 21 Pilots, not because I dislike them, but more or less, I never really got super into their music. However, I did come across this song last year, and it's a banger, you guys. I feel like I can resonate with the lyrics to some extent. And so given the fact that Isabella is such a massive 21 Pilots song, I knew I wanted to recommend one of their songs. The last song I'd like to recommend is Everyone Deserves Love by Ipecac. As I had mentioned in the episode, it really did break my heart hearing about those guys break up. I've been following them for 3 years now. I was planning to have them on the podcast. I wanted to ask them to join my summer showcase, which is, postponed, not happening. And to get that news, I was definitely taken off guard. But I will always be a fan of Ipecac. I actually have one of their shirts. I should be wearing it, but also maybe not. And so I'm still going to wear that shirt despite what has happened. I'm still going to, be a long-term Ipecac fan. And I'm just so deeply grateful to have met those guys, to have met Isabella. And, this is a song that has always stuck out to me. When I interviewed them for just socials, I actually use this song as the background music. And so that tells you guys how much I really love Ipecac. And so those are your guys' song recommendations. I'm so, so excited. If you made it this far, drop a guitar emoji. I just want to know you guys are still with me. Granted, we're at the end of the episode, but if you made it this far to the very end, let me know. Of course, I am going to pull you guys your collective affirmation. I have my deck here, 54 different affirmation cards. I got this from Five and Below. Y'all know I love my Five and Below affirmation cards. They are iconic. And so let's do that before we, end things. Oh, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna miss you guys. I'm gonna miss you guys, but not too much because I am filming my next podcast episode immediately after I get done recording this. So we're doing a mini wardrobe change, throwing off this shirt, putting on another one in true Isabella fashion. So I say that because if you guys haven't seen her live show, she does outfit changes on stage, which is so fun. So that's about to be me in a couple of minutes. Okay, universe, please give our collective an affirmation that they need to hear this week. What is their affirmation? Okay. Today, I am grateful. Today, my heart is filled with joy. I see the positive in everything today. Let's say it together. Today, I am grateful. Today, my heart is filled with joy. I see the positive in everything today. Oh, I love this, you guys. I think after this, heavy of an episode, finding gratitude in the small things is super important. And so I really love this affirmation for this week, just finding the positive in our everyday life. It's easier said than done. I know sometimes I struggle with being a very optimistic person. I just kind of, I've always been a little bit more of a glass half empty person. I'm really trying to change my perspective and be more of like the bubbly, chaotic, happy Gemini and less of the overthinking Gemini. But, being grateful is just so important. And I think given everything that's happening in society right now, we really do need to find appreciation in the small things. And so, my friends, that is your affirmation for this week. As always, thank you guys so much for being here. It truly means the world to me. You can follow me on socials by visiting geminibaby.com/shinx. You'll find my socials, my Instagram, my TikTok. You'll also find the Patreon. You'll find the workshop. You'll find the Shadow and Shine, astrology readings. I just launched my YouTube, and so video will be out there as well. I'm just so excited, you guys. We have a lot more things up our sleeve. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. Thank you again for being here. Sending love. Bye.